Bye. Today, 40 years after the end of the Vietnam War, we will do a special program with very important guests. We have with us three grandchildren of soldiers who participated in these wars. These are Salvador Tognolini, whose grandfather was part of the American forces during the war, Tomás Brizuela, whose grandmother was a nurse in the War of Korea, and Marco Finucci, whose grandfather was a soldier in the Vietnam War. We will take opportunity for them to give us a review of what happened in the war in the Vietnam and Korea. Well, Salvador, what happened in the Korean War?
To start with, President Truman sent advisors, supplies, and warships to the water around Korea in order to contain communism. The USA put enormous pressure on the UN to withdraw North Korean troops.
Then the North Koreans were driven back beyond the original border within weeks. However, Americans didn't stop. China advised that if they pressed on China, they would go in the war. In 1950, 200,000 Chinese troops joined the North Koreans. The United Nations were pushed back into South Korea. At this point, MacArthur was ready to invade China and use nuclear weapons. In 1951, he ignored the UN instructions and treated China. Truman relieved MacArthur from his position as commander. Then peace talks began, and an armistice was signed in July 1953.
The Korean War was a success for the USA, but the costs were high but showed that the USA would contain communism.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It was very clear. Now we move on the Vietnam War.
Well, now I'm going to explain briefly what happened in the Vietnam War. When the Second World War ended, the Viet Minh entered the city of Hanoi and declared Vietnam independent.
And tell us, what is the Viet Minh?
It was an anti-Japanese resistance movement, and at that time Vietnam was divided into North and South Vietnam. The Viet Minh controlled the North and France controlled the South.
In the case of Vietnam, the USA prevented the election from taking place because it feared that communists would win. In 1965, the US started a Rolling Thunder operation, which was a giant bombing campaign against North Vietnamese cities, factories, and armies.
But why did the USA send troops to Vietnam?
This was because of the domino theory, which explains that if Vietnam fell to communism, then Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Burma, and possibly India might also fall. However, Vietnam forces were no fight for the USA, but they had something in favor: the guerrilla warfare and the Viet Cong. Guerrilla tactics consisted in retreating when they were attacked. They raid enemy camps when they were sleeping, and they attacked when the enemy was tired. The Viet Cong consisted of an extensive system of underground tunnels and bunkers, which they used when the guerrillas escaped. This was a headache for the US.
On the other hand, the US implemented many tactics for fighting the Viet Cong, which among which we could find bombing, chemical weapons, and mission of search and destroy.
We are running out of time. I have a last question. How did the war end?
Well, finally in Paris in January 1973, all parties signed a peace agreement. Nixon described it as peace with honor. Finally, the last American forces had left Vietnam, and within 2 years, without the support of the USA, South Vietnam had fallen to the communists.
That's all. Thank you so much for coming. We continue with the next program.
Bye.
Bye.
By
Chelo.
A mí me
Chelo.